And welcome to Onesies, a podcast of one season wonders and blunders. My name's Andrew.
And my name's Emily.
And today we are talking about Dracula the series, episode 2 of 21.
Double Cross. Wow.
Yes.
It feels like it should be tough, but it's not tough.
Also, there's not a double cross.
No. Oh, well. Oh, yes, there is. A double cross.
There's no motive. We'll get to it, but it's
okay.
Mind control does not count.
Okay. I was double crossed. My heart was double crossed. How about that?
This episode, it starts with a shot of the house. We didn't do our three things. Do you have your three things?
Yeah, I have some inconsistencies.
Okay.
Is my first thing, and we'll get to that pretty close to straight away. Press on nails. And the gay F word.
Really? That was in here?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
okay. It was implied.
Well, I watched Killer Sheep last night, and it's in there, and I was like, whoa! But it's okay. It was teenage girls bullying a boy, so it's quote unquote okay because it's showing homophobia amongst the intersectionality of homophobia. Okay. So my three things will be vampire rules. Women always go for the accordion player.
I have that written down
too. Hats.
Okay.
Though there are some other good choices in here that we will go through. Okay. So we open on an establishing shot of the house. Mm-hmm. Did you notice anything about the house?
I didn't. Is it a different house?
It is a completely and utterly different house than last episode. I think the interior is the same, but the exterior is different. The interior might also be different, actually, now that I think about it. Which means they were like, that's too expensive. You need to shoot someplace cheaper for this series. Okay, but we open with a dream sequence.
Yes.
Max is having a nightmare that Dracula is going to come for him.
Yeah. That Dracula is coming.
Coming for him.
Yeah.
Through the window.
Yeah.
And so my note as Dracula enters is, we should have one of us should have picked reading. It's weird that neither of us did.
Well, that plays into my first thing. So,
yes, Dracula comes in. He's attacking Max, and we were getting what we always wanted, him to kill this fucking kid right away, so we didn't have to go through it. We've gone through so many bad kid performances on this show. It was going to be nice. Dracula was going to take care of us, but it doesn't. It's just a dream sequence. And Chris, whose name I kept forgetting because he's only in the episode for 2 scenes this time, wakes him up.
Yes.
And then Uncle Gustav storms in yelling about how he can't get any sleep with these damn kids in the house. And Max says, I had a dream that Dracula was here. And Max and Gustav, and now, okay, so I made a note that says no invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gustav then explains that he doesn't have to worry about it because he's protected in this house by the generational cross over the stairway, which has complete power over vampires.
Which plays into my first point. In the first episode, Max is suspicious of his uncle Gustav of being a vampire because there are no crosses in the house. And then you literally open his door and look straight ahead and there's a giant cross. Inconsistent. Really fucking annoying because it plays such a big part in this episode.
I mean, imagine working on this show.
Yeah.
And you're in the writer's room and you're like, wow, that guy sucks. And then you're like, oh God, I suck too.
Remember last week when you had compared this to like a 90s cartoon? Like maybe this was a cartoon first. And every episode of those cartoons like is a fresh start. Like right. There's no show Bible. Every episode's a fresh start. I feel like this is proof of concept there.
I feel
for a number of reasons, and a following scene with another inconsistency regarding the reading also is proof.
This is from the same director as the pilot,
okay.
But we'll talk about the power lines in a bit. But I feel like as bad as the first one was, I feel like they probably spent 3 days setting this one up. And that one they spent 6 days setting up. And like it was really that extra 3 days that made it just not quite as dumb, but also this one moved better. Like the scene, like it was not just 30-second scene after 30-second scene. But it was still bad. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful piece of garbage you found us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is just wonderful. It's so delightful. Like it's just bad. Okay, so yes, Dracula can't enter when the cross is there. Now that also means that they're not doing vampires have to be invited in.
Right.
So that's interesting because that is from Dracula.
Right.
So even if we didn't do our research on the poppy seeds, but
no, we didn't.
This definitely is a change over from traditional vampire stuff. Okay. So then we cut to the next morning, or we have the credits, which I'm sure you enjoyed. And then we cut to the next day. Uncle Gustav is trying to read, and Max is rocking out with his Walkman that is somehow the earphones are somehow playing out into the room because Gustav can hear it and it's too loud.
You remember those old headphones with just like the foam, and they weren't really like isolating the sound in your ears, but it is very loud. And then another scene where he's complaining about how he can't get any work done because of these kids. He's exhausting. I want them all to die.
Okay.
So he offers Max an alternative. Why don't you read? Here's a book about vampires.
So there was the "you talking to me" bit.
Oh yeah,
you missed that. That was a sign of the good acting to come from Max this episode. Yes, why don't you read a book? It's good for you.
Yeah.
To which Max responds, "Supposedly so are vegetables."
And then there's a crack about sauerkraut being a vegetable. Ugh,
and
whatever.
Then
so he hands Max a book about vampire lore. But again, in the first episode, Max is already a fucking pro.
I did have written down, where did Max learn about vampires without books?
Yeah. He's a fucking pro. And so he pretends like he's annoyed, like, oh, are there pictures? It's like really stupid. And it's like, no, you're already here and you're excited about hunting vampires. Why is this a chore for you? But in that book, he learns, he has learned about the cross and its powers. And the first page he looks at in this book is about how you have to have a cross blessed regularly in order to continue to protect you from vampires. So he's got this great idea that he's going to take the cross off the wall and take it to get blessed because Uncle Gustav said, didn't answer his question about when it was last blessed, right?
No, he said it's been many years, but Gustav's busy because Gustav got a phone call.
Right.
And we got
the B plot.
We got to see him act like he was on the phone. He did a really bad job with that.
There'll be another really bad phone acting.
Oh, yeah. oh, yeah.
Oh, I salivated. It was so bad.
So terrible. Okay, but yes, so he's getting a call from his friend Peter Dyson. We know that because he answers the phone. Hello, pause. Peter Dyson, you old dog. And then we establish that Gustav is wondering if Anna is with them. And is she still asking about me? And then we establish that Anna and Peter are married and that Peter stole her from Gustav.
Yeah.
Okay. But then, yes, so then he rushes out, leaving Max to take the cross off the wall because Max is so helpful. And as Max leaves, the wind from opening the door, because it's very windy theoretically they'd be in Romania, but they're not. So
yeah.
It's very windy, and it blows to the next page where there is there's got to be a publishing term for it, but it's like a breakout box that says never ever take your vampire cross off the wall and leave your house unprotected. And it actually says never ever do that.
And it looks like it's an old newspaper. Like they used to do that in old newspapers where there would just be like a quick little blurb, like a piece of advice, highlighted, bigger text, separated from anything.
Kind of like an ad, actually. Yeah, it's an ad.
Yeah, kind of like an ad
for the home blessing service.
For all you old folks listening who remember what newspapers are. It's like Twitter, but not.
Okay. But less Nazis, fewer out Nazis. So anyway, speaking of which, Max is still wearing around his red hat, which I call his MAGA hat.
Yeah, yep.
But yes, okay, so he's in a graveyard. And then the camera, tilts up and we see all these fucking power lines. And it just reminded me of when somebody once told me that Downton Abbey, they were talking about the CGI of Downton Abbey. And I was like, what's CGI of Downton Abbey? And he's just like, there's just power cords everywhere and they just take them out. And I was like, oh, what a good idea.
Yeah.
They don't have that for Dracula. Instead, it's like very, like last episode looked like, oh, European village. This one is a little bit closer to, Luxembourg was not like a Eastern European Russian vassal state either, but it's like this one, they found all the architecture that reminds of that.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Okay, so now we meet the gravedigger, who is my favorite.
I felt really bad for the guy because it's not clear right away if he can speak or if he understands what's being said to him. He kind of looks creepy. So I'm like, oh, great. We're going to have this like malformed. He's not malformed, but this creepy looking, potentially intellectually challenged character that's going to be like the bad guy. This is great because he does look kind of scary and he's big, gruff. And I was like, oh, fuck. God, I hate this. And then we don't see him again. So Max asks if there's a priest available to bless this cross. Oh,
Pastor.
Ugh. Same difference. If to bless the cross, and
priests like little boys, pastors like teenage girls. And I'm sure younger than that, but the ones they get pregnant and marry are they don't marry them. They pay for their abortions or kill them.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Tangent. But the guy finally answers like the priest is or the pastor isn't in. I know Helsing. I know his house. I know where he lives. Let me take this from you. So Max reluctantly gives him the cross, says he's going to hang out. He'll be back in 2 hours. And we don't see the gravedigger again until later in the episode.
My note with that is I'll just wander around my acting because my God, is he bad. He's so bad. Like Max from fucking wasn't that his name on Free Spirit?
Mm-hmm.
Like that kid looks he's like Gene. I'm sorry. Gene is like the Elijah Wood of kid actors compared to this little fucker. Like this guy's bad. And he's not going to get better. Speaking of performances that will not get better, we now cut to Alexander Lucard Industries. Oh, that is one other thing. I didn't actually make a note, but Grandpa calls him Lucard, not Dracula. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's... It seemed like it was worth a note, but it does not turn into anything yet. But we cut to his office.
Oh, my God. Is he in his suit?
He's in his suit. But what's he doing?
He's riding on that bike.
He's riding on that exercise
Chekhov's exercise bike. We saw it. We noted it last time. You had asked, did vampires need exercise? And he is on the bike.
And behind him in the shot, hopefully this will arrive next episode. And this will be, it's going to be really weird if they do actually introduce things like set pieces that he uses in the next episode. Like, that level of competence is going to be concerning. But behind him is like a Solaflex, which means we could see him pumping iron in his suit.
I hope so.
Mind you, would make no sense because he is walking dead flesh and tissue. His muscles do not do anything.
Oh my God. I can't wait.
So good. Okay, but he's dictating.
Is he dictating or is he on the phone?
I
thought he was on the phone.
He's dictating on this one.
Oh God.
Because he's talking about
like business speak. Just random.
It's business speak, but he's a bad guy. He's going to take out, he's like, yeah, if we have to destroy that town, what are we going to do? It's ugly anyway.
Yeah. Oh God, it was so bad. And he had this like smarmy smirk on his face the whole time. Oh, he was beautiful and terrible all at once.
So good. It's sad. Okay, so Jordy Johnson does not have a picture on his IMDb page. Trivia, folks. The pictures of the two guest stars we're about to mention on their IMDb pages were added there by a fan of Dracula the series. If you are listening to this, I am sorry. You probably
I hope that you hate Love It the way we hate Love It.
Exactly. And also, if you want to sponsor the podcast, let us know. Okay. So, but Jordy Johnson does not have a IMDb picture. This was not going to IMDb. I was just thinking it would be hilarious if he had a Twitter and he spent all of it shit-mouthing Elon Musk, considering he's playing this sort of the Gordon Gekko version of Dracula, at least, though there are some influences in this that we are going to have to talk about in a bit. But first, we have to talk about the friends, because we go back to the house, and Gustav's friends have arrived. It is Peter, played by John Gilbert, and Anna, played by Dawn Green.
I don't see her on mine. Oh, Greenhalgh. Let's say Greenhalgh. I don't know.
At least one of those is silent. But anyway, so give it the Klingon pronunciation.
I don't know. I don't. Sounds like Dutch. Perfect.
Do it in Gaelic.
I don't know Gaelic. So Gaelic. Jordy Johnson does not appear to have a Twitter. Sorry to disappoint.
It is disappointing because it would be so much funnier because I'm going to be able to make Elon Musk jokes this whole season. So the wife, so these two are married. The wife is like flirty with Gustav and he's flirty back. The husband sits there staring angrily at the two of them.
Yeah.
And Sophie and Chris come in. They were out doing whatever. But not because he's gonna bitch about being stuck with a eligible romantic partner on a TV show in a bit. But Gustav introduces them as, you've heard about Sophie, and then here are Eileen Townsend's sons, Chris and Max.
Yeah.
Oh, where's Max? And I was like, aren't they his nephews?
Yeah. That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you say my nephew? Though we established it made no sense them being related in the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. But then Gustav introduces the friends. They've been friends for 40 years. They used to be in a band together. Now, the other thing we see is Gustav is shaved and he has his little toilet paper on his face. I feel like that was a cut scene, which would have been great.
Yeah.
And then Peter and Anna played the Dutch girl and Peter married the Dutch girl. And then she's like, I wasn't even Dutch. To which Gustav says, women always go for the accordion.
I thought that was cute. I had that written down too. I love an accordion player.
So then Gustav dances.
Oh, yeah.
And we establish that Anna calls him Goosey.
Which is cute. Again, it's weird because they do seem like they're actively flirting. I think Peter recognizes that Goosey had a thing for Anna at some point and is getting jealous.
Yep.
But it's very weird that they continue to flirt like that in front of her husband.
Yep.
I'll be honest. It's weird.
But this is actually a trope in a lot of Sitcoms mostly, because
Mm,
you have the ex who's the two exes, and then the third wheel is jealous, and
yeah.
because it gives you an episode basically.
Yeah.
It gives you two guest stars in an episode. So Peter pull or no, not Peter. Gustav pulls something, and then we cut to not Gustav, Peter noticing something is different in the house. In addition to it being an entirely different house,
Right.
the cross
The
is not on
cross
the
is gone.
wall.
But he doesn't say anything right away.
No, because we immediately cut to Lucard Industries. No, he's in his car. He's in his car.
Yes, he's in his car.
Fuck yeah, on his car phone. Awesome. He gets a call that the Van Helsing house is unguarded.
Yes.
And he says, keep me informed.
So we are being led to believe then that Peter is ratting out Gustav.
He's double crossed it. He's sick of being a cuck. 40 years a cuck. Okay. So
good.
Oh yeah. And then Dracula says, get the car ready. I need to free up my evening. So he's gonna like push up a thing. And then he says something like, whatever your pleasure, just terribly though. Oh yeah, so bad. He's great.
It's creepy. It's so creepy.
It's just so yeah. He does not have a scene where he tells a 13-year-old that, she's the most beautiful woman this episode, but maybe next. Okay. So Max is at the church to get his cross, pounding on the door, screaming, is anyone home?
Yeah.
To which my note is, he says, I said hello. To then I noted, I said hello, I'm an American.
Yeah. It's so stupid.
Wait a second. No,
but he's Canadian.
Wrong.
But he's Canadian.
He is Canadian, but he's Canadian Philadelphian. So we missed this. Lucard was in his office before because the car phone is next.
Okay.
Because I've got a bunch of notes that say car phone.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So he's on the phone in his office and he's having this beautiful one-sided conversation that's, just so bad. I loved it so much.
And so when he's on the car phone, he's driving around. He's got a flag on his car, so we know that it's the Lucard Industries car. And it just cuts between various shots of this car driving around, presumably Luxembourg, to show off that they filmed on location in Luxembourg. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But yes. And then this time he closes out by saying, it's only 64 minutes and 15 seconds till sunset.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And he says, I do love a nice sunset. All of these T-shirts, ringtones.
Tropes. Just these tropey
so good.
lines. Gimmicky.
They wrote this thing for meme culture 30 years too early.
Yeah.
The problem is they'd make this today and they would get oh God. We can only really appreciate Jordy Johnson's performance because Dracula the series was a failure. If this had defied popular culture, think about how unamusing it would be.
See, and they could turn this into a modern show and make it campy and weird, but there's not a market for it now. I mean, What We Do in the Shadows has kind of taken that over. But they could turn it into some gritty origin story, right?
Or they could do whatever the super problematic British guy just did.
Super problematic British guy?
Oh, the guy who worked on Sherlock.
Oh, Mark Gatiss.
Yeah. He's said some shitty things over the years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And tripled down on them in a way that... Anyway. We're not talking about that one season blunder. We're talking about this one season blunder. So Peter and Anna have been on giving themselves a tour of the house, which is a little weird.
Yeah.
They're just upstairs fucking. It's fine.
And there's some comment made about how charming, finger quotes, the house is, and clearly they're making fun of Gustav and his house.
Peter is.
Yes.
Anna seems sincere, which is going to have a nice punchline later.
Yeah.
But yes, she's like, it has so much charm and character, just like you, Goosey. And Peter's like, yeah, there's no question about whose house this is.
Yeah, yeah.
To which my note is Run's house. Bada bing. Dogma. Anybody see Dogma? Matt Damon.
It's
Ben
been about
Affleck,
20 years.
Academy Award winners. Wait another 20 before you watch it again. Okay, so they're going out to dinner. Gustav left dinner in the icebox for Sophie and
Icebox. I made a comment
Icebox.
about that too. I asked my husband, Canadian studies major, if that's just some quirky, cute thing that they still say in Canada, and he said no, that it's probably just, well, he didn't say it, but it's probably just a reminder that Gustav is some old guy in an Eastern European country, a vaguely Eastern European country with old style thoughts. I doubt they actually have an ice box. I'm sure it's an actual refrigerator.
But overshadowing that for me was Peter's hat. Did you see that thing?
I didn't notice Peter's hat.
You've got to go find it because it's like a fedora, but it doesn't fit at all. So it looks like he's wearing a top hat, but it's not a top hat. It's it's like a yodeler hat, but it's not. It doesn't fit on his head at all.
No, there's Leslie Nielsen as Dracula. When I googled, I'm not seeing it.
Okay,
I'll look. I'll rewatch.
Really, you're telling me nobody has screen capped Peter's hat? Dracula the series, episode 2.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Post it on my website.
Next, we have Chris and Sophie playing cribbage, and he's pissy that he's hanging out in Eastern Europe playing cribbage with.
I'm single, and I'm here as a teenager, and I'm sitting here playing cribbage. And it's like, you're sitting here playing cribbage with a beautiful young lady.
Right.
Maybe appreciate your time with that beautiful
Dracula's all about her. You could be too.
Jesus.
And then she says something like, would you rather be at a mall? And he's like, some places don't have malls. And I was like, you're from Philadelphia. They had a mall.
Are you sure? It is 1990. Did they have a mall in 1990? It's a joke.
It's a joke, yes. Because no, Philadelphia's had great department stores. Haven't you ever seen Mannequin? What is wrong with you?
I was making a joke.
Some things aren't funny. You have to watch Mannequin now. You have to make your husband watch Mannequin.
I don't have to do anything.
You have to call him Goosey during it. Commit to the bit.
I call him Goosey anyway.
Okay, so Max gets home and we get some more of the fine acting from this little shit. I did something stupid.
And they're all like, bracing themselves.
Well, I mean, yes, because Chris realizes the connotations immediately, which is kind of funny. But Sophie's like, well, maybe it'll be okay. And Max points to where the cross was. Okay, and the other thing is it's dusty behind the cross, so they've like actually put some dust on the wall so you can see the object.
The outline of the object, Yes.
And so we don't cut, sorry. So then they start panicking. And Chris is the one who seems to realize, oh yeah, that means Dracula can come and fucking kill us anytime he wants.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Lucard Industries from a different angle, but the same building. Yep. I was very impressed. I was not impressed that it was a still image on video, but I was very impressed that they actually managed to get a second shot of that building before security told them to leave.
Yeah.
But then, yes, he's on the phone and he's talking to, we think, Peter, about how they'll be home by dark.
Right.
And this is where he laughs because the person on the phone tells him how shitty it looks inside.
Yes. Yeah.
And Dracula laughs about it looking shitty. And then he says, you've done very well. I will remember. And then he licks his lips and had to sign up for a sexual predator registry. So we cut back to the house, to the Van Helsing home, where they're now on yellow alert because it's sunset.
Right.
And then somebody, I think Sophie, points out that Dracula can't know that the cross is missing, so maybe it'll be okay. And besides, we have all of Grandpa or Uncle Gustav's vampire fighting gear.
Yes.
Which she then discovers is all gone.
Yes. All gone. There's supposed to be holy water and where there are spikes, probably.
Crosses. Those crosses that Max couldn't see.
Yeah.
Last episode, Gustav was hiding his Christianity from his pseudo sister-in-law's brother, whatever.
Yeah. Niece, cousin, I don't know.
It's so much darker than that. He was her college professor.
Yeah.
He just calls her that. Whatever.
Those are actually his kids.
There's a not zero chance Chris is his kid. The reason Max sucks so much is because that's the loser she shacked up with. Or whatever. Like, yeah, it was his TA. We got a whole Dracula the series -1 coming next season to FX. Okay. But yeah, so there are 4 to 5 cabinets of shit that is gone.
Everything's gone. I wonder how. Oh, I do know how it got gone now.
You could get it out of the house without somebody noticing.
Yeah.
There's too much. But somebody's like, somebody must have thought it or taken it. And Chris has the thought, it's Peter.
Yes.
And he actually thinks about it, which is interesting. Which, for those of you who don't know or don't care, well, you're shit out of luck if you don't care. In his review of Jackie Brown, one of the things that Roger Ebert said made Quentin Tarantino one of the greatest filmmakers was that Sam Jackson has to think about who's double crossing them and realizes it's Jackie Brown. And Roger Ebert's like, nobody's thought on film in 50 years until Tarantino brought it back.
Wow.
Which means, in addition to not playing video games, Roger Ebert did not watch this episode of Dracula the series because Chris thinks about who's double crossing them and realizes it's Peter.
Maybe he had Howie screen it for him in advance and Howie told him not to bother. Couldn't relate it back to World War II. Inside joke there, folks.
Inside joke. Emily just wanted to piss me off for the rest of the episode. Hey, Emily, do you know how to use a DVD player? Or do you have to have your husband do it for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you work in the film industry and that's something you say? Okay. Anyway.
Oh, boy. Oh, Howie.
Ooh, way to set me up for the finale. Okay. Upstairs, Max is in his bedroom, hiding. We see lightning. We see the lights flaring up with some terrible CGI where they this era of cheap special effects are so bad. Like, I kind of want to understand the technical behind it because it's so they flare up in unison. Like they must have done some sort of video mat with yellow dots. Like it's just terrible.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's something that your phone can never do because your phone was too good to ever do this kind of flare effect. You've been able to do better special effects than this since 1998, right? Like since the first version of iMovie, you could do this better at home, but they're just going for it here. It's terrible. Oh, so good.
It was really bad.
Okay, so Dracula's on his way, and on TV, I can't believe they got the rights to this. They're watching Salem's Lot.
Yeah, Salem's Lot. I thought that was pretty impressive too, that they got the rights for it. Not.
Yeah, maybe they didn't. Maybe again, you would have to
under the radar.
Watch this to catch them.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dracula's doing all this shooting telekinesis shit. Books are flying off the shelves. Sophie's talking about how we know that he's letting us know that we can't win.
Yeah.
And it's all Max's fault. Don't forget that.
But it's also just show and fluff to kill time. Got to kill that 22 minutes. Don't have enough substance for a 22-minute episode.
No, you don't. So yes, then we get the fog. There's fog everywhere. Mm-hmm. The dry ice budget this episode was wild. I'm very impressed with the dry ice budget. Okay, so Max is upstairs. Dracula comes up through the window, very much like The Nightmare, but Alan Eastman, who directed it's so bad, and Max is so bad they don't do any like connection to that. Max throws a baseball at him. Dracula catches it. Now, again, I am sure that I saw this as a 12-year-old.
Okay.
I have no memory of it other than the familiarity of like Chris and just the general shitty vibe of the show. But, and I can't remember Monster Squad because that's a really problematic movie. Fred Decker. Don't email me again, Fred. I don't. Fred Decker used to comment on my website a lot. He used to Google himself every day.
Oh,
you could
Jesus.
see that kind of thing. It was great, okay? Because Monster Squad's super homophobic. And his excuse is that's what teenage boys are like. And their response is, monsters aren't fucking real, dude. How about you don't have a bunch of fucking bigots in your movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Dracula squishes a ball in Monster Squad too.
Really?
Yeah, I think this is a repeat bit, or I've seen this and I just have that bit, but I like remember the entire bit from Monster Squad.
Huh.
So then Dracula, is that when we get the holy water? No. Max does that thing where you smack the guy's hand up to their face.
Yes.
Which should have been good. Like in any other thing, even if it were a cartoon, they'd be able to pull this off.
Right.
They can't pull it off here because it's garbage.
Yeah.
But
pure garbage.
Just pure garbage. This should have been puppets. Can you imagine if this had been puppets? Okay.
Muppets Dracula.
The Muppets would never do anything this shitty. We'd have to find Muppet Dracula would probably be great.
It would be fantastic.
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
And like there'd be like some weird super female empowering subplot with Piggy somehow. Like if they'd made like Muppet Dracula in 96 or whatever, like after the other ones, it would be a classic at this point.
Yeah.
Instead, we live in the universe with the last 6 years. You know what? Let's just go back.
Are you saying that if Muppets had done Dracula in the 80s or 90s, that we wouldn't have had a Trump presidency?
If we lived in a world where the Muppet classic literature adaptations were popular enough that they made a Dracula one, and it had the somehow empowering female vampire bride subplot with Piggy or whatever. Yeah, no.
Wow.
No.
You heard it here, folks.
if you had that, if you like were able to have some crossover thing, you'd pick up the votes for Hillary.
There is an alternate universe, folks. You've heard it here, where there's a Muppet Dracula movie with an empowering Miss Piggy, Bride of Dracula formula, and no Trump presidency.
Subplot. And no Trump.
And no Trump. Wow.
And no Trump.
I want to live in that world. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's find it. All right. Let's start punching some holes in space and time and do it. Sorry, I got us way off track.
No, that's okay, because did we talk about how we were fantasizing that there was an episode where Dracula just kills all these kids while we were
we didn't
recording?
talk about it on pod, but we talked about it.
We didn't talk about it on pod. It's just what we talk about all the time now.
Yeah.
Just dead children.
How we want these. The whole cast, except for Mia Kirshner, but if they killed her, I wouldn't care.
It's okay, collateral damage.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're downstairs. Gustav comes in saying, "Who the heck left the door open?" And then they say, he's like, "Oh shit, we need my vampire killing gear." And they're like, "Peter took it." To which my note is, "No, not Peter." Peter gets thrown to the ground, and we discover it's Anna. Somebody makes a wisecrack. Or no, we don't know it's Anna yet. Peter gets thrown to the ground, and the kids say, "Well, that's gratitude from Dracula."
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, it's a capitalist shitting on their work. I mean, like, he's about to cuck the guy too. Yeah, it is basically just working for. A venture
For Elon
capitalist or
Musk.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. It's weird. You get to sleep at Dracula's house if you work for him because you're a vampire. You sleep at the house.
Yeah.
It's like working at Twitter. Okay, so then I think somebody's got holy water.
Somebody, and I feel like it's Gustav.
Yeah. But then we discover it is Anna.
That has been the narc.
Yep, she knocks the holy water out of his hand or whatever. And so then Dracula's like, come here, Anna. And he reveals very slowly again. Now we are back to we're going to take forever to show any of our neck bites that they did in the first one. We're showing that she's been bitten, but she's not a vampire yet. He only has her mind, not her soul.
He has to kill her first.
To get her soul.
Yeah.
But that means she was brainwashed and therefore did not double cross.
Okay. So the title of the episode is
However, it does not make any sense with that phone call he had with her because all of the phone calls were set up to sound like Peter was just mad that Goosey and Anna wanted to shag. I was also upset that Dracula was not sexy with Anna. I thought that would have just been like, it would have just been so wrong. This show, again, if they'd done something like that, we'd know about it because somebody would have talked about this show.
Yeah.
At some point in history, as opposed to waiting until we did.
Yeah. And I was crinkling my nose just now thinking about it, but I should not crinkle my nose at a younger man and an older woman getting jiggy with each other.
No, you were crinkling your nose because there's the obvious consent problem that he did brainwash her.
Because he did brainwash her. Right,
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ageist.
I'm not an ageist. Okay. I'm not.
Then my gravedigger shows up.
Oh, yes.
At the door. Now, they haven't... So we're on a set, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't shown out the front door. And every show with a set has this problem that the front door is supposed to lead into the outside world.
Right.
And it doesn't match somehow because of the realities of making a TV show.
Right.
You could watch WandaVision and see all about that in the modern MCU context. But
I could.
You could do that.
I could.
But no show does this well. Even Faulty Towers doesn't do it. Still, this looks like he's standing in front of some rolled construction paper.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks real bad.
Purple light on him. And it's just the gravedigger. He shows up and he's like, oh shit, what's going on here? He throws the cross in slow motion. I'm sure it spins through the air.
But it wrapped up in a paper bag, and as soon as he opens that door, Dracula can feel it.
Yeah, because it's just in the house.
Yeah.
It's not the sign of the cross, which is actually what last episode established.
Yeah.
The vampire rules in this are
really, really out of whack.
I just saw one of my notes. Okay. So Dracula goes outside and he turns into a bunch of bats and he flies away with that terrible
special effect. Oh
yeah, just video filters from your local news.
And then the door closes, and my favorite was that there was just one extra bat that flew out the other direction that you could see in the window. Oh, it was so bad. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so bats go away. Anna's woozy now. Peter's waking up.
Yes.
And Gustav tells the kids to take Peter upstairs. And he will see to Anna. And my note is, so I can paw her titty. But no, he's going to pour holy water on her bites. And I thought they were going to actually wash away. They don't. They do a cut. Yeah. I was like, you guys couldn't even figure out a way to put something on her neck that you could wash away with water.
Yeah. This is a cheap ass show.
They could you could just do just regular dust would wash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
We cut to the next morning. The Dysons are leaving. They have no memories of the night before, just strange dreams.
Mm-hmm.
To which my note is Gustav roofied them. And then Peter apologizes for being a jealous fool. And then Gustav says, but then you wouldn't have been yourself.
Yeah.
And then they say, Chris and Sophie are there to say goodbye. Max is upstairs still sleeping or something.
It's weird. The way that they didn't have
season 2 is just Max turns
episode
13. Just like if they made a second series of this, all of this would go away if Max just played with himself.
You heard it here. Andrew is telling the creators of the show to just let this 11, 12-year-old kid start jerking off so all of the trouble goes away.
I'm sorry. This is the year 2022. The first time a white guy said this was in Happiness in 1998, right? Like, whatever. I don't want to be in this universe. I want to be in the one with the Muppet Dracula.
I do
Leave
too.
me alone.
I do too.
Okay. So, I just saw one of my other notes that I won't be reading out loud.
Oh.
Okay, so they say give Max our love, even if we haven't met him yet, which is amazing that the show remembered that they hadn't met him yet. We get no closure on Anna thinking Gustav's house is shitty.
Nope,
she does
no
give him
closure.
a kiss goodbye on the lips, sort of like,
oh, I guess I didn't notice that.
Hubby? Oh, really? Because they like make a big deal out of it.
No, because I was then focused on when Chris gets the double kiss
and is homophobic about it.
He's homophobic about it, which is my third point, which I completely skipped Lucard's fake nails because I don't even remember when they came up. But I was surprised that we didn't get the gay F word out of Chris after he got a double kiss from a dude. Like, he was just kind of like, ugh, this is one European custom I could never get used to. And it's like, shut up, you little fucking wuss. Sorry, that was maybe too harsh.
Not really. No, he sucks.
That pissed me off so much. It's like, quit bitching. Like,
such a weird.
Why are these boys so like annoying? Why are boys so annoying in general? Whatever.
Well, it's it's a combination of patriarchy and toxic masculinity and privilege.
It's still a pain in the ass and annoying.
Yeah. Hence why Muppet Dracula, with its empowering vampire bride thing, would have at least changed, 5% of dudes from that era.
All I want is to see every single Muppet character in a Dracula costume with the teeth. Just every single one of them is Dracula.
There would have been at least 5 songs. You have to realize that too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just like, now who would be Dracula? Would we do a human Dracula or would we do a Muppet Dracula? And then who's the human?
Yeah, I keep thinking about that too. We should consider casting our Muppet Dracula for the next episode.
Because if you have,
because obviously I see Kermit because he's been a vampire on, when he did Muppet Show with Vincent Price.
That would be, yes. I was seeing Kermit too.
Oh,
it's too bad that, also continuing on in our universe for a second, apparently they did want to do not in 1996.
I know.
They did want to do another one of these, and Jerry Jewell died before they could do it, and then Disney basically got it and ruined. Then it went before Muppets for Space. They wanted to do something else, and then it all went to shit.
Bummer.
Okay, so then Gustav tells Sophie and Chris, because we're still talking about the show.
We're still talking about this show. God damn it.
It's amazing. We can talk about anything related to vampires, and it's covered. We can talk about anything related to rich people. It's covered. Shitty white kids. It's covered.
Yeah.
Like, this show basically describes the universe. Okay. Yeah. So Gustav tells Sophie and Chris the cross never needed to be blessed in the first place.
It's a magical cross that only needed one blessing. Yeah.
Yay. And then he says, like, and then Chris says, there goes my, but he can't tell. They can never tell Max. Right. And Chris had planned on teasing him about it.
Yeah.
See, toxic masculinity, patriarchy. There you go.
Cool.
That's also what's that teaching thing? Montessori. That's how Montessori works too.
Is it?
Bullying. Yeah.
You just bully
It
kids
works-
into doing things.
Yeah, actually.
You dumb idiot. Don't you
It
even know how to
works
do
through
this, you
mobbing
idiot?
and bullying, and shaming and things like that. Yeah, it's great.
Cool.
Cool. See, we can talk about that with Dracula too. It's educational. And then Gustav says, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, and we need Max to finish reading what he starts.
Yeah.
And we cut to Max up in bed reading a book.
Reading a book. Boy.
Fascinated.
I wish that we could read and listen to music and be well-rounded people, but we have to pick one or the other, apparently. That's disappointing.
What?
You can't be a well-rounded person if you only listen to music. You have to read, too.
Is that a line from here?
No. It's just the general lesson I took away from it.
Oh, because he was listening.
Yeah.
Was he listening to music?
Yeah. Because he was dancing. I don't know what it was. You
heard it too, though. Would you have called that music?
Yeah. It was fucking cool. It's the 90s. Hello. I love any kind of music, though. I'm a loser, so don't listen to me. I'll listen to anything.
I'll track you down some 1989 Canadian pop.
Yes, please. Whatever the music is that's the theme song, fucking love it. I fucking love it. It's so corny. Makes me so happy. Anyway, that's all for this episode, I think, right? He's reading a book.
He's reading a book.
Woo.
Chris is a little shit. Gustav.
And Sophie, again, doesn't have anything to do in this episode. Great.
No, because she's the 13-year-old girl who lives with the weird old guy.
Cool. So the next episode is called The Vampire Solution. Let's see if there are any special guest stars. I mean, there's nobody that I've heard of, surely. Bernard Behrens, Mia Kirshner's still in it. Geraint Wine Davies. He's
yes.
Helsing. I don't know who that is.
He was on the show Forever Night.
Oh. Well, he is a Helsing, so that's kind of cool.
I think he's the cool brother. I think this is where he got his start.
Nice.
We will talk briefly about him because I do not remember much of
Alan Eastman again continues to direct, right? He directed the first
God,
two.
No.
I think he directs most of them.
Oh,
I think there are very few he doesn't.
Bad. Oh,
Ollie.
He directs Max. I could forgive everything else. It's Max. Oh.
Okay, well, join us next time. We're very excited. Andrew is certainly not losing steam on this show.
Join us for some rap, hip hop, and a little bit of ska.
Oh, if only a little bit. Okay, see you next time, folks. Bye-bye.